EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. That is the way that you can join us live here on Women of Grace Live, where we love to have that holy conversation with you. You can also get your question or comment to us by using EWTN Radio's YouTube channel or Facebook page. Simply go on out there and use the chat feature. Tell us who you are, where you are. If you're listening to us by another means than social media, do let us know that. And obviously, we're going to get your question or comment retrieved and up on the board. Yet another way that you can join us is by texting us. Text the letters EWTN to 58177. That's EWTN to 58177. Wait for our response and then put in your question, your comment, your insight, inspiration, or word of encouragement. Do know for sure that message and data rates could apply, but also tell us who you are, where you are, and how it is that you're listening to us. Very excited today because we have a special guest coming up for you on the other side of this first break. He's somebody that you all know. Dr. Ray Guarendi is going to be with us. We're going to be talking all about what it is that he does and his program that you hear here on EWTN Radio, and also the new book that he has. And I just know you are going to be enthralled, because you have to be with Dr. Ray. He just is really such a delightful guy. So I am looking forward to receiving your questions and your comments for Dr. Ray by giving us a call here at 833-288-3986. That's 833-288-EWTN. Do want to tell you about some of the things that are going on at Women of Grace. We've got all kinds of stuff happening. I'm working on a project right now, and I think you're going to really enjoy it when it's all completed and finished. I've been giving you little snippets of it as we go along. But we're going to be talking about St. Therese, and we're going to be talking about the science of weakness and how it is that we can enter more deeply into our life of faith by way of this little saint, by way of her little way. And that's going to be a beautiful study. So watch for that to be coming out in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, we have all kinds of other opportunities for you that are waiting for you to sign up for. Get on out there and check out our upcoming events. Look at our study information and find out where it is and how it is that you can join us for a Women of Grace study. Our foundational study is certainly going to kind of get your spiritual house in order, giving you insights and inspirations on who it is that you are as a woman and how that plays into your relationship with God and everybody else that you meet, how it is that beautiful gift of your authentic femininity is meant to bring, just so many gifts and talents and skills to this day and time, and how it is that you can influence this culture by the gift that is yours through your authentic femininity. So that's our foundational study. You know all about our Moments with Mary studies as well that lead you into deeper understanding and relationship with our Blessed Lady. And all I got to say about that is it doesn't get much better than that. So we invite you to check all of that out too. And I do want to mention something to you because November is coming up, and you know that is the month that we remember the Holy Souls. It's interesting because at Mass on Sunday, our pastor happened to mention that our church was on a backlog of 9 months for Masses to be celebrated for individuals. And that was an important announcement given the fact that we are coming up to this very important month. And I thought to myself, my goodness sakes, we oftentimes in this month want to remember our deceased loved ones in a very special way, and no specialer way is there than the holy sacrifice of the Mass. But I'm guessing that if this is the case, here in Birmingham, Alabama, it's probably the case in many of the Catholic parishes throughout the United States, which leads me to give you an opportunity. We have the great privilege of working with the Archdiocese of Gulu in northern Uganda. And in this relationship that we have with them, we oftentimes have the great opportunity to have Masses celebrated. As a matter of fact, it's a regular feature on our website. The beautiful priests that there who are members of the Archdiocese actually depend upon these stipends to be able to do their work in the bushes of northern Uganda and in their parishes. And so it's a very poor area, as you might well know. So this is really a corporal work of mercy as well as a spiritual work of mercy, because we are called to pray for our dead. And there, as I said, is no better way to do that than through the holy sacrifice of the Mass. So I invite you to get out to our website, womenofgrace.com. to take advantage of that opportunity to have the holy sacrifice of the Mass offered for your deceased loved ones. And we even have Gregorian Masses that are available to you through this option. It's all right there for you on the homepage, and that's womenofgrace.com, plural on the women and all one word, women of grace at womenofgrace.com. If you want to send an email to us, though, for our program, it's womenofgrace at EWTN.com, and I invite you to do that too. So, as I mentioned to you, Dr. Ray is going to be with us. We're going to be talking about his new book. We're going to be talking about his program. We're going to be talking about all it is that he does, and that's a whole lot, because this is one busy man. It's kind of like, where in the world is Dr. Ray right now? I think he might be in Canton, Ohio. We'll get that information to you, too, when we do come back from the break. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986 is the way that you can join us right here on Women of Grace Live, where we do love having that holy conversation with you, as I tell you all of the time. So don't delay. Call right away. We want to hear from you today right here on Women of Grace. Or, of course, use the option that's available for you at EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Simply use the chat feature, put in your question or comment. We will get it retrieved up on the board. You can also text us. Text the letters EWTN to 58177. Wait for our response. Put in your question or comment. Tell us who you are, where you are, and how you're listening. And do know that message and data rates may apply. We have Matthew Gubensky out there on the phone today. Pedro Quiles doing the retrieving for us. And we have the lovely and the one, the only Vanessa Sanchez in studio for us. And she is making this whole program happen. So we invite you to join us in this endeavor. Again, that toll-free number is 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. That is the way that you can join us today. Again, encouraging you to get out to our website, womenofgrace.com. See all of the good things that are available for you there, including our New Age blog. Every Wednesday, Sue Brinkman is with us, and she talks about the weird and the wacky with us on Wacky Wednesday. Her New Age blog is one of the most frequented areas of our website, and she answers there a host of questions that you have sent in article form. She does that. You can use the index there and research one given topic or aspect of the New Age, and you're going to find a multitude of articles available for you on each one of those. So get out there to the website. Good stuff coming. Something even better coming too, and that is Dr. Ray. He's coming to you after the break. 833-288-3986. That's 833-288-EWTN. Also available for you out there at EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page, or via text. Text the letters EWTN to 58177. Wait for our response. Put in your question or comment. Know that we want to know who you are, where you are, and how you're listening, and data rates may apply as well as message rates. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. It's Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Williams.
This is a Pro-Life Minute with doctors Stephen and Gracie Christie.
Steve, as a doctor, this argument really burns me up. Abortion is simply a normal part of women's health care and a critical element of women's reproductive health. What's your answer to that?
Right. I simply ask, when did lethally injecting a living unborn child or tearing it limb from limb and suctioning it from his mother's womb somehow become health care? We all know exactly what health care is. It's treating the diabetic, it's setting the broken bone, performing open heart surgery. Killing a living unborn child has absolutely nothing to do with health care.
Really, if your health care kills people on purpose, then you're clearly doing it wrong. And keep in mind that 95% of all abortions are performed on healthy babies of healthy moms. Abortion is not healthcare.
For more on the culture of life, go to EWTN.com/prolife.
Become formed in the heart of our mother with the Moments with Mary study series available through Women of Grace. This study series unpacks the beauty and mystery of our Blessed Mother. In the first study, Who is Mary? We answer that very question and come to know our Blessed Mother as never before. This 6-week study is one that you pray through. It can be used in a group setting or explored individually. With the purchase of your study guide, you will receive online access to study teaching videos with Johnnette Williams and Father Hugh Gillespie. Through these videos, enlightening articles, your daily time of prayerful meditation, and daily reflection videos with Johnnette, you will be immersed into the treasure that is our Blessed Mother. Whether you join a group, start a group, or study on your own, you are sure to deepen your relationship with Mary. Order your copy of Moments with Mary, Who is Mary, today through Religious Catalog, www.ewtnreligiouscatalog.com.
Join in on the conversation. The Women of Grace phone lines are open. 1-833-288-EWTN, 1-833-288-3986.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Williams. I'm delighted to be with you today. I certainly am. Oh, my goodness. I look forward to it Monday through Friday at this same time on this same station because I love discussing issues of importance to your life and your faith with you. And I'm so excited today because we have a special guest for you. Dr. Ray Guarendi is with us, and we're going to be talking about how to get along with almost everybody. What a really good topic, right? I bet you there's somebody in your life right now that, oh my goodness sakes, it takes, they're really perfecting you because you've got to use the virtues in relationship with them. They are a great gift to us. That's the way that we get to heaven, quite frankly. But, if we could have some tips on how to do that a little bit better, it would help us. And Dr. Ray is going to let us know. Dr. Ray Guarendi is a Catholic husband. He is the father to 10 adopted children. He's a clinical psychologist. And get this, he's the author of over 20 books. He's a professional speaker. He's an international radio and television host. And I'm telling you what, if you're not out of breath now, you will be when you consider everything that he does and the wonderful way in which he does it. He has been in practice for over 40 years. He has led to helping thousands eliminate parenting frustrations. I bet you could use some of that. And build stronger marriages by showing them proven parenting techniques and following, get this, their God-given instincts to raise their kids for heaven. What a beautiful thing. You can hear him right here on EWTN radio. It's Sirius XM, iHeart, and over 500 domestic and international AM and FM radio affiliates. His TV show, Living Right with Dr. Ray, can be seen on EWTN. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram. His EWTN radio program is called The Doctor Is In, and I suggest you listen to it. We love having him on the air with us. Well, how do you do there, Dr. Ray?
Johnnette, you have inspired me. I've decided to do a spin-off of Women of Grace. It's going to be Men Know Your Place. I think that would be our good spin-off.
That would be a wonderful title for a show. Actually, you know what, Ray? I think that's a really good title for a book, too. That is really a good title, Know Your Place. What do you think the place of a man is, Ray?
Oh, man, our culture says he's to be a doofus. He is to be simply impotent. He is to be helpless. He is to show poor judgment. He is unnecessary. That's what our culture says. Of course, our culture decides it's going to ignore and defy God about every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely right. The beautiful thing, though, is about this with regard to this complementarity of the men and the woman, men and women. We need each other to complete this mirror of God's image that we're meant to be in the world today. And I think that, as you are outlining for us the way in which the culture looks at men, really with a very demeaning glance. And this isn't something new. I mean, if you go back in sitcoms, it might have begun, I don't know when. When do you think it began? I'm thinking it began somewhere in the 70s, and it's just gone progressively downhill. But if you trace it back to, the earlier sitcoms and television programs that were more wholesome, the husbands were always portrayed in a very positive light as being the ones who had, a special gift for leading the family in the way in which it should go, which I think is what God's image of man is to be, not the doofus he's been portrayed to be, say, maybe in the last 50 or 60 years. What do you think?
Linguistic engineering precedes social engineering. We take qualities of men that were once admired, that were once God established and ordained, and we now psychobabblily call them toxic, as in poisonous. Who would want to have a toxic character lead you? And they've done very well in taking a very healthy, leadership role from men, because, leadership, that automatically means put down ship. And
Yes.
they've done a marvelous job in twisting the language.
Yeah. If you could look, and of course, this is not our topic, but it's a fascinating one. If you could look at the landscape of the culture, the landscape of society, say over those last intervening, since the 70s, let's just use the 70s as a good marking point. It actually began probably mid 60s, but let's just go with that. If you look at it, what would you say? Could you identify what you think to be perhaps, it's always a cauldron of things, but could you identify perhaps one ingredient in that cauldron that you think has had one of the most devastating effects on the perspective of man that the society and the culture holds today?
Johnnette, are you familiar with the musical Annie, Get Your Gun?
Well, kind of, but not really.
There was a lead signature song in that musical sung by Annie, and she says, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Now, that was in the 60s, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think what has happened is because in the past, of course, men have dominated cultures, and sometimes they've dominated them in the wrong way. I got that part. But then we decided, wait a minute, we got to even the scoreboard, and they went to the other extreme. They took what is valuable, men, leadership, and love. There was a survey done. Guys in prison, long-term in prison, something like 90% of them had no permanent, stable male in the home.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's a very important statistic, a devastating one, but an important statistic, because here's the thing, when men are not permitted, and this goes for women as well, but when men are not permitted to live according to the way in which God's created them to be, and you've identified it well, to be leaders, to be protectors, to be providers, when they're not permitted to live that in a healthy way, I think oftentimes what happens is the repression of that. Now you're the psychologist, not I, but the repression of that is going to cause that particular tendency, that drive that's in a man naturally, to become twisted, to come out in ways that are not socially appropriate, socially acceptable. It's almost a frustration, and that frustrated desire causes them to live out that reality in ways that are unhealthy. What do you think about that?
The culture says men cannot be trusted. The culture says men are violent. Men will take their inborn natural wiring and use it to conquer and subdue and hurt and damage and abuse. So the culture says those things, instead of being brought into balance, they got to be squashed. Mm-hmm. We can't allow them even to poke their head up among the dirt. We got to squash it. We got to stomp on it. Everything I watch at night, my wife and I will watch various sitcoms or things. Every single commercial is absolutely relentless. There is not one that puts a guy out as having any kind of competence whatsoever. And if he does, the woman has to correct him because he fell short.
Yeah.
And this relentless bombardment shapes the way people think. Mm-hmm. You look at the kids under 25 and 30, the way they view, there was a survey done, this was done some years ago. Are men jerks? That was the question. 67% of women surveyed said men are jerks.
What about the men? That was only a survey done of women?
Yes.
It would be interesting to see how men view themselves, because I don't know that men necessarily view themselves as jerks, but I will say that living in that social culture, that social milieu, might help them to believe that they are jerks, or to believe that they should act aggressively. I mean, the thought structure of a culture influences the way in which that culture behaves. We see this, I think, really dramatically within the context of our society today. We were built upon a Judeo-Christian ethos, but as that ethos has begun to crumble under the weight of relativism and secularism and all of the other isms that are out there today, what we begin to see is that we begin to act in a way that is ungodly. We begin to act in a way that is not comporting with that revealed truth of sacred scripture and the teachings of the church. And so, the way in which a culture functions in its intellectual or its intellectual basis or its perspective is going to influence the way in which people actually function.
We guys play a role in this, Johnnette, because it's easier for us just to let the women do it. Let the women take charge. Let the women handle it. Let me play my video games. Let me get on my phone. Let me continue my adolescence until I'm 37 years old. It's easy to do, because if you attempt to take any kind of healthy traditional male role, you're going to run up against subtle, if not so subtle, persecution, and you better be a strong guy to take that. I cannot tell you how many guys leave the disciplining up to their wives. The women will tell me this. They'll say, Disney dad over here, Mr. Good Time, Mr. Oblivious. She goes, I got to do the disciplining. And I tell these guys, what is wrong with you? Step in and protect that woman. Okay, you're not going to protect her from Indian raids, and you're not going to protect her from conquering hordes, but you might want to protect her from the kids.
So what do they say to you? I mean, is it because of the maybe strident behavior of the wife that he falls back? He's comfortable falling back, but what is it that causes him? What can, maybe the better way to ask the question is, what can she do to try to encourage him to enter into that leadership role, especially if she's been part of the problem, in creating this environment within the home and their relationship?
Two couples come into my office, and the male says, she doesn't allow me to really discipline. I'll ask the wife, why is that? She says, I'm just uncomfortable with the way he does it. I mean, he just seems so hard, so harsh. And I'll ask, is he mean? Oh, no, he's very loving. Is he a bad dad? Oh, no, he's a very loving dad. Well, then what is it that you don't like when he disciplines? He just seems so intimidating. Is he screaming? No, he doesn't scream. Then I say this, and I drop the bomb, Johnnette. I say, it sounds like you want him to discipline like a woman. And they just look at me dumbfounded, and then they walk out. No.
But isn't that the fact of the matter? I mean, and these are some of the problems really that create problems within relationships and create problems within the workplace and really just basically create problems throughout society. And you, in your new book, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody, are striving to kind of make the way smooth. So tell us, what is your goal? What is the purpose in helping people to try to do this? Obviously, it's for a smoother society, but how do you tell them to do it? What can we do?
Father Mitch Pacwa said to me, maybe a lot of people don't want to read that book because a lot of people don't want to get along with almost everybody.
Well, that is true.
And I said, it is true. And I said, but this is not the curmudgeon-y mail carrier that you bump into for 7 seconds every other day. This is not the woman 3 houses down who will take your kid's little ball if it goes in her yard. This is your mother-in-law. This is your spouse's mother. This is your brother. This is your adult child. These are people in the very circle of your life. And you can't, in most cases, write them off. They're not dangerous to you. They may be nasty. They may be snarky, opinionated, hurtful, bragging, but you have to get along with them somehow, some way. And what people don't realize, Johnnette, is the majority of the ability for me to get along with that person that I think is difficult is up to me. Mm-hmm. Somebody called my radio show once, Johnnette, and she said, My spouse says such hurtful things to me. And I asked her, can you give me an example of some of those? And they were basically put downs. They were scolding put downs. And I said, well, it sounds nasty. I said, but it doesn't have to be hurtful. She said, what? I said, we understand how much you allow that to hurt you is really up to you. Well, I don't like it. I understand that. Who would? But the idea that he says these things in whatever his motive, you don't have to allow this to ruin your next 3 days. Well, my mother-in-law is so opinionated. I am so sick and tired of her comments about my motherhood and my homeschooling and my religion and my politics. I said, well, how many snarky remarks do you think she's made? Oh, hundreds. I said, well, does snark remark number 205 bother you as much as number 5? She says, yes. I said, why is that? The cumulative effect. It should go the other way. By number 205, you should be pretty sure of who your mother-in-law is. You should be certain of what she's like. So number 205 just loses its punch. She's lost credibility. She can say all these snotty things, but they're coming from her. They may not be a reflection on you at all. And that's what we do. Johnnette, the number one question I now get in therapy, any place else, will you please tell me how to make somebody else be different?
Oh, gracious.
Yeah, so I can't even make you be different half the time. You're going to move to another person. So that's what the book is geared toward. The book is geared towards making yourself be different so that these people don't get to you as much.
Yeah. Well, and that is the truth, because, I mean, these are adages to be sure, but the fact of the matter is, you can't change anybody but yourself, right? We've all got to work hard to get along. These really are maxims of the day, but there's truth in them. We cannot change anyone else. We have to change. So our interior response needs to come into a different position within us so that in a certain way we can overcome what it is that this person is thrusting upon us. And that's a difficult thing to do, especially if, we have our own wounds, because oftentimes these remarks, Ray, touch those areas within ourselves that still need to be healed, still need to come into the light of truth, and still need to be worked out through the grace of God. So when we come back, let's talk about some of those things. And friends, in the meantime, I want to send you out to EWTN's Religious Catalog. There you can purchase a copy of Dr. Ray's new book, as well as his other titles as well. The new book, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. So if there is someone in your life that is literally driving you up a tree, this is the book that you're going to want to have. And it's available for you there. Just go out to EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com. Put Dr. Ray's name in the search engine or the title of the book, and it's going to come up for you right there. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
Why do we need to pray? Well, the Catholic faith is all about communion with God. And prayer is the form that our communion with God takes. If we're not praying, we're not in communion with God. But we can get in communion with God really quickly by prayer. It's the easiest, quickest, and only route to connect to our Creator. And that's what we're made for. That's why we need to pray.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN bookmark brief, speaking with author George Weigel about his latest book, Pomp, Circumstance, and Unsolicited Advice, Commencement Addresses, and University Lectures. Okay, this book, it's got lectures in it. It's also got other things in it. What else is in this book?
It's got a dozen commencement addresses I've given at schools around the country and indeed around the world. I hope it's an invitation to everybody to think about what it means to live vocationally.
Now, as far as reaching out to students today, have you seen a change over in the 20 years that you've been doing this?
I think kids are very worried today. They worry about finding a life partner and raising a family. And that was not the case 25 years ago to the degree it is today. So a Catholic sense of vocational living is even more important in those circumstances.
Okay, very good. George Weigel, author of Pomp, Circumstance, and Unsolicited Advice, available through our EWTN religious catalog. This has been a Bookmark Brief. Thanks for stopping by. We shall see you next time.
EWTN Radio is all over social media. All your favorite programs are available right now. Check us out on X at EWTN Radio. Remember, EWTN is everywhere.
Hi, this is Dr. David Anders. There's only one show for non-Catholics, Called to Communion, coming up this afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Women of Grace with Johnnette Williams.
Join in on the conversation. The Women of Grace phone lines are open. 1-833-288-EWTN, 1-833-288-3986.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Williams. I'm delighted to be with you today, and I'm delighted that we have Dr. Ray Guarendi with us. We're talking about his new book, which, as I was telling you when we went to the break, is available for you at EWTN's religious catalog. That's EWTNRC.com. I love to call it the home of holy reminders in memory of our own Mother Angelica. So get on out there and get your copy. I don't think that there's one of us listening today that doesn't need the help and the assistance that comes by way of this book. It's called How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. And of course, the almost is, just a little addendum to the title, How to Get Along with Everybody. It's an excellent book available for you again at EWTN's religious catalog, EWTNRC.com. However, the doctor himself is with us in studio today. So I am inviting you to give us a call here, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986 is the way that you can join us by phone. It's a toll-free number. I invite you to use it often. If you're a first-time caller, I want to know. I will ring my little bell to welcome you for your debut to the program here today. We will also take your message that you leave for us at EWTN Radio's YouTube channel or Facebook page. Simply use the chat feature there and put in your name. Tell us who you are, as well as where you are and how it is that you're listening, if it isn't through social media. And don't forget your question or comment. We'll get it retrieved. You can text us as well. Text the letters EWTN to 58177. That's EWTN to 58177. Wait for our response. Do put in your question or comment. Insight, inspiration, or word of encouragement. Tell us as well who you are, where you are, and how you're listening. And know that the message rates and data rates of your plan may apply. All of that being said, we're eager and happy that Ray is with us today. And, one of the great features about your book, Ray, is that you do give us great insight into how it is that we can do what it is that you advised us to do as we were going to the break. We cannot change anyone else. We can only change ourselves. So how is it that we begin to resolve these relationships, or at least resolve the interior angst we have in these relationships when it doesn't seem as though things will be changing in the near future?
Johnnette, it is not unusual that you are as articulate as you are because, as I understand it, you are a former literature arts teacher. You know these things. You know the power of language. Mm-hmm. One of my first chapters is watch your language. There are 3 highly toned psychology words that now everybody uses to characterize relationships, and they damage the relationship. They convince you that these people are beyond reach. Toxic, narcissist, emotional abuse are heavy, heavy words. Avoid using them. Substitute the reality. Difficult. That is a word that implies at least maybe there's an opening here. That's 1. 2, be careful reading motives. You can see behavior, you can hear words. I'm a psychologist. I'm supposed to figure out motives. So I see somebody for 4 hours. I think I got them figured out. In session number 5, they throw something at me that completely turns it on its head. I misread it the whole time.
Wow.
If a professional can be wrong, after 4 hours of talking to somebody. How easy is it to be wrong when you interpret somebody's motive right away, quick, on the spot, by something they said?
Yeah.
Be very careful reading motives. You read a motive and you can get upset so fast at that person. How many times have you had to say to somebody, that's really not what I intended? That I didn't mean that at all. That was not what I meant. You get emails, don't you? Johnnette, you do. And people say, when you said this, I couldn't believe. And you're thinking, that's not what I meant. Exactly. Reading motives.
Sometimes it's not at all what I said, Ray. You know?
Yeah, no, ain't that the truth? Okay, another one. Show an interest. Do you ever meet somebody first time, talk to them for half an hour, you walk away thinking, what an appealing human being. Later on, you realized, hey, they asked all about me. They asked about my kids. They asked about what I do for a living. They asked about my religion. They were interested in me. When you got somebody difficult, you got a snarky mother-in-law who comments on your parenting. Ask her about her own parenting. Ask her about her own kids, her own life. Put the focus back on her. That softens most people. It really does. Most people want to talk about themselves. And if you start focusing that conversation on them, they soften. That's a big one. Here's another one. Our Lord never sinned against anyone. Never. They killed him. So who do we think we are that people shouldn't say offensive things against us? I don't deserve that. I don't do that to them. Why can't they treat me like I treat them? That was wrong. They shouldn't say that. All we're saying is, how dare they offend me? A Christian should be the hardest to offend person of anyone, because we follow a teacher who never offended anybody in a sinful way, and they turned on him. Yeah. So who do we think we are?
Yeah.
My mother says something about me. I'm thinking, I'm offended. I'm just offended. When you say you're offended, what you're saying is prideful. I don't deserve to have those things said about me. That's what it is. Be unoffendable.
Yeah. Yeah. The last one, there's a beautiful virtue for that, and it's called humility. And even when we're falsely accused.
That is my greatest virtue. Did I tell you that?
Your greatest virtue. I could have told you that about yourself, right?
I'm very proud of. Yes.
Well, the fact of the matter. Go ahead.
You didn't ask me this, but my next book coming out is The 3 Most Humble People I Know and How I Taught the Other 2.
Oh, my goodness sakes. This is the one and the only Dr. Ray Guarendi, and you can hear him right here on EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, Sirius XM, iHeartRadio, and over 500 domestic and international AM and FM radio affiliates. His program is The Doctor Is In. Give us the time that is, Ray, because I'll tell you what, I have a bifurcated brain. Half the time I'm in Eastern time, and the rest of the time I'm in Central time. Is it 1 or 2? What time is it on?
So it's 1 o'clock Eastern time, 12 Central.
Okay. All right, there you go. I get myself all wound up in the time change differences. All I can tell you is there's probably no cure for that, but there might well be help and assistance for you with Dr. Ray on his program. The Doctor Is In, 1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, right here on EWTN Radio. So we invite you to listen to him. I want to talk a little bit about some of these very, very good pieces of advice that you give to people. The fact of the matter is, of course, it's going to take some training, because oftentimes we find ourselves sliding into the what not to do's rather than doing what it is that you've told us to do. But one of the ones I think that often happens, and I think causes a lot of problems, and I know in certain relationships in my own life it's caused problems, and that has to do with ascribing to somebody a motivation that they may or may not have. And, this is a bad thing, because I don't know if you've ever had this happen or if you've heard this happening in your practice, right? But sometimes somebody will write a narrative in their head as to what your motivation is. And no matter how you try to convince them that it's otherwise, they're going to believe their narrative. That story becomes very much a part of the picture that they're drawing of the situation and circumstance in their life regarding you, and they're not going to change. So, I would really encourage anyone listening today that if you have a tendency for that, and maybe, a lot of us do, if that's the case, you certainly don't want to go there. Just assume that you really don't know what their motivation is, because the reality is that's the truth of it, right?
Classic study done of psychiatrists. They found that within the first 4 minutes of the interview, the psychiatrist came to a diagnosis. Anything after that supported the diagnosis, they included. Anything that countered it, they ignored. And this is among professionals. So wow. I always tell folks this. Assume if somebody tells you that was not my intent, that was not what I meant, assume they're telling you the truth. All too often we say, yeah, they say that, but I know. I'm not stupid. I know what their motive was. If you do that, I guarantee you're going to find somebody much more difficult to get along with, because you look inside them in your mind and think you're accurate.
Yeah. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. That is the way that you can join our conversation today. Perhaps you have a question for Dr. Ray. He is always in at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on his own program, Monday through Friday, right here on EWTN Radio. But today, the doctor is in right here on Women of Grace Live. So we invite you to call in with your question or with your comment. So, what would you suggest then for someone who has a tendency to draw these narratives in their head? What would you suggest they do instead? How can they overcome or work out this perhaps habit that's formed so that they don't cause further problems within relationships with people who maybe on the face of it are actually very difficult to get along with?
There is a definition of frustration that says frustration is the difference between the way we want things to be and the way they are. And the bigger that gap, the more the frustration. You can extrapolate that to relationships. My frustration with you is the difference between the way I want you to be and the way you are. Now, it is easier for me to adjust the way I want you to be than it is for me to adjust the way you are. Much of the time, I'll give you a small example. My sister, we used to fight and argue when we were little. My sister had one comeback in the argument that I just couldn't defeat. I would come home. Marianne, Mom left 2 pieces of cake for both of us. One for you, one for me. Mine's gone, and yours is gone. She'd go, so? You ate yours and you ate mine. So? I'm telling Mom. So? I think to get along better with people, you got to be more of a so person. My Uncle Frank, he's got his stinking opinions about politics, and he thinks he's the only one that sees anything accurate. So? Well, yeah, but I'm just tired of the way he thinks his view is superior to mine. So we got to be more so to get along with people. You really, really do. You got to shrug a little bit more. You got to use the teenager, whatever. I think that could be a healthy way to get along with people because they are who they are. And if that's your mother-in-law, she's stuck right in the middle of your social circle and you can't sever that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And oftentimes, what I think is helpful to do, especially if we're strong in our faith, is to look at this as a little suffering that the Lord is giving to us for us to work out and to increase within ourselves that virtue that we talked about a little earlier, and that's the virtue of humility. We blessed are the peacemakers, right? So we want to be those peacemakers in the situation that is likely not going to change. And sometimes when we change, the situation changes. When we are not allowing ourselves to exert that kind of negative vibe that's coming off of us out of that frustration, we see that the situation just naturally begins to, the fire is taken out of it. It just extinguishes itself. We have somebody out there who sent us a text message, and we invite you to use the texting option as well. You can text us by going to, or texting rather, the letters EWTN to 58177. That's EWTN to 58177. Wait for our response. Tell us who you are, where you are, and how you're listening today. And know that message and data rates may apply. You can leave a message for us at EWTN Radio's YouTube channel or Facebook page. Simply use the chat feature. We welcome your calls, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. That number is toll-free for you right here in North America. So Anonymous out there who texted us, Ray, says, how do you deal with a sibling who is a chronic complainer in a Christian manner? Now, I don't understand how you can be a constant complainer and be a Christian, so I don't know, maybe he means in a Christian matter. Nonetheless, this person is dealing with somebody who complains and complains and complains. What do you do about that?
He touches upon one of the very chapters in my book. I call it the 3 conversation killers: bragging, complaining, and know-it-alling. When people complain, they want you to commiserate with them. They want you to nod, and they want you to say, that's awful. Oh my gosh, how do you deal with that? That's so terrible. What I have found with a chronic complainer is my tolerance level goes for maybe a couple of minutes. And then after that, I just look, I just stare. I don't nod. I don't say, oh my, that's so awful. Oh, you're so strong in dealing with, I don't do that. Because it's not Christian to do it. I'm just helping them wallow in their own misery. And as they say it out loud, they become more miserable. They rehearse their misery.
True. It's true.
Of course it is. But here's the other thing, too. You can flip that the other way, Johnnette. I had a mom tell me one time, she was a client of mine, and her little daughter died at age 9 of leukemia. And this mom was racked with guilt because the day that her daughter died, Mom was at the hospital. And the little girl said, Mommy, are you going to stay with me? And Mom said, yes, I'll stay with you. Well, the little girl went to sleep. She fell asleep. And Mom said, well, I can go out and run a few errands and come back.
Oh, dear.
Yes, you know the end of that story. Okay. So Mom's grief was exacerbated by an enormous mountain of guilt. And she said, one of the things that happened after this is her tolerance for complainers plummeted. She didn't want to hear people complain about their flat tire that they got on the way to work, complain about a difficult boss. And she said the one thing that killed her the most is when they complained about their kids. Because all she could think of, I wish my child were alive to complain about. And so I to people, I said, well, you're going to complain. Remember this, you don't know who you're complaining to. You don't know how they're interpreting this. You don't know how this has gone through their screen. This poor woman had a tolerance for complainers about 2 sentences worth. And that's what I tell folks. You don't like complaining, so take that and realize that's how you affect others when you complain. It's an interesting study, Johnnette. It was fascinating. What they said was, in America, we have gotten rid of most of the serious impacts of past history. Child mortality rates under 5 have plummeted. Okay, past history, they were 50%. Illness, infectious illnesses, top 5 killers of people. Pregnancy and birth, high killer of women. So typically people dealt with severe stuff. In America, we've gotten rid of a lot of things that plagued former millennia. So what we do is we elevate other things. We elevate other things. Oh, my air conditioner went out. Oh, what a time for it to go out. It's July 15th. I can't get a repairman here until August. Oh my God. You see what we do? We elevate things to be complaint worthy. Because the big stuff that people used to live with, we've gotten rid of most of it.
You know, what you're saying is absolutely so very, very true. And so therefore, all of the small things become exacerbated. I want to go to Maria. She is calling us from Richardson, Texas, and we've got about 4 minutes left, Ray. She's with us via the EWTN app. Good morning to you, Maria. How are you?
Okay. I know the show's about to end, and I've got to quick go to a class, so I'll just ask my question and then hang up and listen.
Okay.
I'm working very hard at trying to get along better with my sister. I love her 2 children, and I love to have as much to do with them as possible, but I've been shying away from her because the last time that I spent any appreciable length with her, so I'm wondering how to contend with that. I kind of have resigned myself to basically just treating her like somebody that I just know casually and pretending the other stuff doesn't exist. But I don't know if that's a good way to do it.
Okay, so you cut out on us a little bit there. So I see something in my notes here that says, declared I don't have ADD and called me a liar. So she's called you a liar. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Ray, what do we do in those cases when someone just wants to cut us out and has assumed this about us?
If she cuts Maria out, Marie's helpless. But if, in fact, she doesn't want to cut Maria out, and Maria wants to see those 2 kids above all things, then I would say to Maria, just recognize that the price of seeing those 2 kids is to have your sister's pot shots come at you. Mm-hmm. But remember this. So what that she called you a liar? So what? All you have to worry about, Maria, is it true? If it's not true, then she can say anything she wants about you, and you can't do a thing about it. Attorneys will tell you anybody can sue anybody for anything. The only problem is, does it have merit? And that's what I say in a much broader base about relationships. Anybody can accuse you of anything. The question is, does it have merit? If it doesn't, then you just tell yourself, accuse away because you're wrong, and I'm going to work real hard on not letting your words be absorbed by me.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, there's a response. I don't know what you think about this. I'll say it, you know. One thing that you can just tell your sister Maria is, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, it's not true. No.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks on you. No take action.
There's that one, too. Well, Ray, it's been great being with you. And friends, I'll tell you what, you can get more of them today at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on EWTN Radio. Just get out there. Tune your dial to EWTN and keep it there all day long. We invite you always to be with us. Additionally, we invite you to get out to EWTN's Religious Catalog. Order a copy of his new book. We know it is going to do so much for you. That new book title is for you. Well, let me get it so I say it correctly. It is How to Get Along with Almost Everybody, right? We got along real well today with Dr. Ray. God bless you now. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
Proclaiming the faith, changing lives.
The year was 2000. Mother receives an enormous package from the Vatican. She opens a box live on her television show and discovers a monstrance had been given to John